Hello, everyone, and welcome to Canvas Live. Canvas Live sessions are presented by Canvas community members or Instructure employees, and our goal is to help Canvas users improve and enhance their teaching and learning with Canvas. With us today is the inimitable, unconquerable Laura Gibbs, and Laura Gibbs is going to be doing her 6th in the continuing series of Connected Learning with Cats. Today's quick demo is on building a library of free online books. And with that, I'm going to turn the microphone over to Laura.
Okay, thanks, Stephanie. I'll go ahead and confess too. I had my wisdom teeth out this morning, so my voice sounds very strange, and I'm probably not going to go the whole session, but I don't feel any pain. I really had fun preparing the materials here, so hopefully this will work. But there are blog posts with all the details, so if what I'm saying is not clear because I'm woozy or because somehow my voice sounds strange, don't worry, you'll find everything online, including this slide deck. So you can go to the event page at the community, and I put a link to this slide deck in there yesterday, and it's great to look at the slide deck while I'm talking so that you can click and explore and actually see the free online book library and how it works. And as Stephanie mentioned, this is a series ongoing. This is the 6th of the cats, and in particular, this is part of my Summer of Curation series. So last time I did how to curate things with YouTube playlists, and that was kind of a small picture of what you can do with curation. Today is the big picture, the jumbo picture of how to do curation projects that might be small, that might stay small, but that might just start small and grow bigger and bigger. And the example I'm going to be using is the online book library that I built for my students last summer. So this is a slide I used last time. It's a great graphic, I think, for showing what curation is all about. What I want to emphasize here is not creating your own content in the sense of writing content, you know, the way you would write a textbook. If you look at that picture of the different dimensions of curation, you actually won't see the word writing on there. You're finding, selecting, editorializing, commenting, arranging, creating your new version, sharing, engaging, and then tracking how people engage with your content. Now, that's a good way to think about curation. Different people emphasize different aspects of it, but the problem we've got is that Canvas itself has no curation tools built in. So what I'm going to emphasize in this talk is how to find curation tools that that help you work efficiently and productively, and then how to plug all that into Canvas at the end. Now, the most important tool, I think, for curation is having a good bookmarking tool. Now, I use Diigo. I love Diigo. Diigo has more features than I even have begun to use, including lots of features designed for educators. There are other kinds of bookmarking tools that you can use, Pinboard, Evernote, OneNote. I'm going to be talking about Diigo here in particular, but anything I do with Diigo is the kind of thing you can do with other bookmarking tools. And here's our first link. If you want to see my online book library the way it shows up at Diigo, there's a link there. I've got about 1,000 books in there, and you can see how the students explore the library if they choose to explore it at Diigo. That's one way to explore this big library of books. The other tool I use is a publishing tool, right? So I bookmark things, and then I publish in a new format the things that I find that I want to share with my students. And Blogger happens to be the publishing tool that I like the best for all kinds of reasons. Probably the most important is that my students also like Blogger, and so we're blogging together. Any blogging and pretty much any wiki tool will work. The key thing that you need in this publishing tool is labels. right? So you're used to the idea of tagging things with bookmarks, or if not, you're going to love it. The idea is that you need a publishing tool that does that same thing, that offers that level of being able to label your contents in a systematic way. So to get a sense of how that works at my Freebookapalooza, you can go to that blog. This is just a different view of those 1,000 books, a more detailed view than in Diigo. And what you're going to see there is for each book in the library, there's a very simple blog post. No writing really of my own, just sort of cataloging, like in a library catalog, where there's the author, there's the title, there are links to all the places you can find that same full text free book online. It's amazing, the millions of books available online, full text. And then there's a table of contents that I paste in to each post, along with an image. Now, labels come into it in the sense that if you look in the sidebar of the blog, you're going to see that it's set up by different regions. So if you want to browse the books from Africa or Asia, Europe, ancient Greece and Rome, I use labels to organize the contents that way. Now, like I said, I'm emphasizing online books here. That's our book cat from the last presentation. Because for what I teach, these public domain books, most of them from before 1923, actually do contain the content that I need to share with my students. In other classes that you might be teaching, there are other kinds of materials that would be more valuable than books. Articles you find online, videos, works of art, music, pages at Wikipedia, NPR presentations. This system will work for really any kind of content that you want to systematically gather up, sort, organize, arrange, and then share back with your students beyond just a list of links. Okay, so here's that diagram again of what curation is. What I do, organize your workflow. I use Diigo to find and select things. I just bookmark any book I find anywhere online, at Project Gutenberg, HathiTrust, Internet Archive, anywhere that I think my students might like. Then I use those bookmarks, my bookmarks at Diigo, to go back and select the best ones, to editorialize, as it were, to arrange and create the version of that record I want to share with my students. And then I actually bookmark my blog post to create that Diigo free book library. It just takes a second to bookmark my post in Diigo when I'm done, so that students can use both of those tools, Diigo and Blogger, to share and engage with the contents. I've written up all the details of that process in a post. So, like I said, there are 3 steps, and I'm going to go through them again one more time. Step 1, just bookmark every possible item. If you don't have a tool like Diigo that you use, and you have sometimes seen something online that you found, you knew you wanted to use again, but you couldn't find again later, Diigo is going to save you. Just bookmark everything. Don't decide whether you're going to use it or not. Just if there's a possibility, bookmark it. I used a little tag, Add2 Library, just a kind of note to myself that this is something for the library, or could be. If you haven't looked at HathiTrust, it is amazing. It is a consortium of university libraries that have put millions upon millions of books online. It's like Google Books, but with actual librarians who take care of the contents. It's absolutely fantastic. And your university or school doesn't have to be a member at all. It's open to anyone to use. Okay, so you're bookmarking all the stuff, and then you don't have to finish that process. That's an endless process. But when you have time, you go back and look at the possibilities that you bookmarked, and you then select the best ones and annotate them in some way before you republish them. For me, annotating meant finding an image to use, adding a table of contents. Depending on what you do, there'll be other kinds of annotation. You might add keywords, for example, to a record for an article that you're saving, something like that. You'll decide what's best for you. And then as you've gone through your Add2 Library or little note to yourself, Diigo bookmarks, you can actually delete those, right? The idea is you delete the preliminary bookmark you made and then bookmark your beautiful, new, consistent, for your students' library catalog record. So that in the end, you've got a beautiful blog, which might have 10 or 20 or 100 or 1,000 items in it. It's fine, it's all good. And then you have a sort of parallel set of bookmarks that go with it. So your students can use each of those two platforms based on what they want to do, what kind of searching and browsing you want them to engage in. So like I mentioned, it scales great. You can use this general process for something that's small with just a few items or up to something totally enormous. The system of curation, of labeling, of cataloging is something that really does work at scale in education. People talk about at scale in terms of instruction. I don't think that really works. I believe in small classes, but I believe in large resources to support those classes, big libraries of stuff for your students to blog in. But you don't have to decide in advance how big it's going to be. This flexible architecture grows with you. Works great small, works great extra large. I'm working on a project this summer that is going to console me when the pain starts with these stupid wisdom teeth, because I'm having so much fun with this Aesop book library. I started it less than a month ago with a handful of stories, and now I've got over 500 stories in there. It's a blast. Okay, so flexible architecture, labels. I mentioned labels in the blog earlier on, and this is how it works. When you create a post in your blog, unlike when you create a page, say at Canvas, where there are no curation tools, when you create a post in a blog, you add labels to it. And those labels build navigation paths automatically. You don't have to design the navigation. The blog labels do that for you. So there's no previous next linear navigation, once again, like you're used to in Canvas. Instead, what you've got is a library for browsing, for exploring. No student will ever look at all 1,000 books in that library, but what I want to help them do is use these categories to help them find the books they're most likely to enjoy. And the really, really cool thing is, and you're probably used to this from your email, say if you use labels in your email, that you can take the same content and have different labels for the same content, multiple labels. So for example, in my current project, for each Aesop's fable I put in the blog, I use two labels. One label tells what book it came from, and the other label tells what fable type it is. There's a great indexing system that gives numbers to all the basic fable types, like the dog in the manger, one of my favorites. That is fable number 702. Totally arbitrary, but it works. It was created by a great scholar of Aesopic fables, and so I use his system. So if you look at the bottom of the blog post there that I put as a screenshot in the slide, you can see that it's from the 1912 Aesop's Fables illustrated by Arthur Rackham, and it's Perry fable number 702. Those other labels aren't really important. And so since there are two of those labels on the same post, that means you can browse the whole site by book. You can see all the fables from Arthur Rackham's Aesop. Or you can browse by fable, which is really fun, where you can see all the different versions of Perry 702, all the different versions of Dog in the Manger. And no matter what subject you teach, I'm sure there are different navigational threads that people could follow as they explore that content. You know, they could look at scientific discoveries in a given historical period, for example, or they could look at important discoveries in chemistry over time. You know, so start thinking in this new way about content. No more previous next. Instead, it's an internet way of doing content where things branch and go in different directions so that you don't know when you start where you're going to end up. right? The users are using these labels, these navigation systems to find their own path. Then you want to feed this back into Canvas somehow, right? You want to take this rich, wonderful content you've created using curation tools and get it back into Canvas. There are really good ways to do that. One way to do that is randomizing widgets. I did a Canvas Live on that a few weeks ago. And so for all those free books in the library, I built randomizing widgets so that these books just pop up at random, either from the whole library or from those regional groups. And so you can use that as a way to bring the library in a totally random and fun way into your Canvas course. You know, students can just see what books pop up for them. It's a fun and unpredictable thing that at least my students really enjoy, randomization. You can also take the contents of that blog, including label-specific content, and bring that into Canvas. And that is really cool, right? Because remember I mentioned that labels are an important part of curation. Well, you can get a blog stream for a specific label and have that come up in your Canvas course. And you can see it's a very nice presentation using a tool called InnoReader. There are other ways you can get RSS into Canvas. I use InnoReader, where they get the image, they've got a link that leads them out to the item in your blog, but it's also scrollable so they can browse right there inside Canvas. And finally, you can get Diigo links themselves to show up in Canvas. So if you decide this curation is all very nice, but this blogging thing is just too much, you can just use Diigo and share the links you select, right? You put a specific tag on the links you want to go into your Canvas course, and those Diigo, annotated Diigo links will show up inside Canvas. And I gave a bunch of examples of that when I did a Growth Mindset Canvas Live a while ago. So that's it. I'm finishing a little early because I know my voice sounds weird to me. I'm sure it sounds weird to you. And you can tell I must have been a little loopy when I made this slide. We looked at curation and curation tools. That's kind of redundant. We're not going to worry about that. We looked at bookmarking as a curation strategy with Diigo. We looked at blogging as a publishing strategy, sharing out the stuff that you curate using Blogger. I did the little 3-step guide to building your library, whatever that is, library of books, art, music, Wikipedia articles, anything. And then talked a little bit about how it's scalable, how it's flexible, and then how to take all that stuff and feed your Canvas course. And of course, there's a cat. I made a new cat for this presentation. So the cat's in the library browsing our books. Now, I may not be online a lot for the next couple days when this stupid wisdom teeth pain kicks in, but after that, you can always find me online, and I'm very glad to answer questions, brainstorm, help if I can with your curation adventures. And I blogged a lot about that at my Canvas blog this week because I wasn't sure I could do this presentation. So you'll find some really detailed blog posts with step-by-steps and more examples of curation adventures. And so that's it, Stephanie. I can answer questions if people have them, although I'm feeling a little goofy, so don't trust all my answers if they sound weird.
Laura, thank you. That was absolutely outstanding. And so far, the comments in the chat are not questions. They are just commending you on what a wonderful presentation this was, that you don't sound loopy at all. Our attendees are trying to take it all in and might well have questions for you later that they'll be able to post in the event page. So I'm going to wait for a few more moments just to make sure that we give our attendees time to ask their questions if they need to. And I'll just kind of wait here. We'll just, mosey on and see if anybody has any questions to post. And I think that you have covered it so thoroughly that right now people don't have any questions. But of course, remember everyone, you can post your questions later in the comments section of the event if you think of something later. Or of course, if you're watching the recording of this and you have something you want to ask Laura, then please feel free to put it in the comments section of the event itself. And mention Laura. It's, of course, at Laura Gibbs, and she will be able to address your question once the anesthetic wears off and she recovers and comes back from it again. So with that, I want to extend a huge thank you to Laura Gibbs for taking the time to share yet another wonderful idea as part of the Connected Learning with Cats series. And I want to invite all of you to get involved in the Canvas community and in Canvas Live. Follow live.canvaslms.com to be notified of upcoming events. Join the Canvas Live user group where you can collaborate on presentations with other users and hang out in our Canvas chat rooms. That's where you can connect in real time with other Canvas users. So thank you, Laura. Thank you very much to our audience for being here, and have a great day.